Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and thank you for joining me tonight for Fun Fold Friday. And I've got a great fun fold to share with you. It's a Christmas card. So one of my first Christmas cards of the after holiday season. Let me just get my paper organized the way I want it and everything looking good before we get started. I hope you all had a beautiful Thanksgiving. We spent our Thanksgiving with last the whole time, so that was really great. Just hoping I'm not going to have any internet problems tonight, because that certainly has been the case for today. We've had a little bit of internet problems, so hopefully we won't have any tonight. And the final thing I need to do is turn on a good light. There we go. That should give us everything we need for tonight. So tonight I am, as I said, making a fun Christmas card fold. I'm going to be using the Joy of Noel and the Christmas Classics set. I'm going to be, I'll show you where I'm going to be using the different things. Both of these stamp sets are photopolymer sets. They're both on the retired list. They are both still in stock. So if you find something that you really like, if you see that this is something you really want to get, you'll want to get it sooner than later, because it is on the retired list. They both come with a set of dies. So this one comes with where it will stamp. You can stamp the Noel and then die cut it out. It has some separate die cuts that you can use, and then it also die cuts some of the stamped images. And like I said, it's a photopolymer stamp set. And the Christmas Classics has some really awesome dies. You can see here I've been using them, so I haven't put them together back really neatly. I just got some new magnet cards, so I was waiting to actually do that before I put all of these away. So you've got these two great frames. I'm going to use this frame tonight, but so you get some really great dies, and then you get more sentiments than stamped images in this particular kit bundle, but they definitely go really well together. They're part of the suite. I believe one of the designer series papers, I'll show you which one, has been sold out. I couldn't find it on the website right before the broadcast. I was going to I always look at this time of the year to make sure I have that everything I'm using. I plan things so far in advance that I wanted to make sure that these were still available. And it looks like one might not be available. It's not showing up yet on our inventory list as not available in my store. So that's my clue that it is probably no longer available again. And I'll show you which one. And because I checked it just with 5 minutes to spare, I didn't have a chance to quickly change out the paper and show it to you as something else. But if you think about these, with Christmas cards and such as a template or as a card sketch, you could use any of the designer series paper you have on hand for this. Okay, so I've got the two stamps mounted, and I want to show you the card that we'll be making tonight. So this is the Christmas card, isn't it? It's gorgeous. I love it. I love it with the designer series paper I chose, but you can see in some instances you're not seeing much of it. I tied it closed. This is called a tri-fold fun fold card. So I tied it all together with our gold ribbon, and it opens up like this. Isn't that beautiful? So These two pieces of paper come in the Joyful Christmas Designer Series paper package, and that's what looks like it's out. So if you had just some Designer Series paper that matches your background, this paper, the Joyful, is still in. And let me just get the piece on Earth and the rest of the stuff out as well for stamps, so we'll be good and ready to go. This isn't easy fun fold to create, and I need there we go. I think I have it all now. So let me just get those mounted on blocks. But again, so this will fold up and down, and then this folds over, and then I use the ribbon to tie it shut. So I did put Designer Series paper on the inside, and the only place that doesn't have the Designer Series paper is right on the very back of the card. Okay, so let's get started. Let's just get these mounted. I usually take my photopolymer stamps and just lay it down on my grid paper and then mount it. That way I know that they are sitting exactly the way they need to be for cardstock. So let me just, I've got my gems in here because I have everything. Okay, so to start with, you are going to need a piece of, and I'm using Cherry Cobbler cardstock, but you're going to be using whichever color you want to use to make this. You need a piece that measures 5.5 by 11 inches. We're going to be scoring that in just a minute. And then for the other pieces of paper that you're going to be needing, you're going to need basic white that measures 4 by 5.25. You're going to need also a piece that measures 1 by 4 that I'm going to be cutting a banner out of, and so I'm using this banner that's right from the set. So you'll need a piece that's at least 1 by 4 to cut it out. You're also going to need a piece of basic white that you're going to be able to stamp on. And you're going to need, from the Joy of Christmas Designer Series paper, you're going to need 2 that measure 1 by 5.25 and 2 that measure 1.5 by 5.25. And then from the Joyful Specialty Designer Series paper, you're going to need 2 that are 3.5 by 5.25. And then, of course, you're going to need this to do some die cutting, and you're going to need some Cherry Cobbler and some Old Olive to do some die cutting from. So let's get started and do some stamping. So first of all, I'm going to be stamping the Noel with my Cherry Cobbler ink pad. So I'll stamp that up, ink it up, and then stamp it, and we have the beautiful Noel. It just has some decorative elements carved into the stamp so that when you are stamping it, can you see those little white spots that come out? It's just beautiful. The dies, so I have already die cut these. I will tell you I've die cutted the label out of and I already die cut the Noel. When you put it through the die cut, it's going to cut those letters out individually. You can put them back in the square, or you can use them on the card any way you want. And I'm going to leave these in here for right now. I've cut out all of the cherries for the card as well. So that would be die cut. Then on our piece of white cardstock here, we are going to stamp the piece on Earth in the Cherry Cobbler. And I'm going to stamp that towards the top. There we go. And then down at the bottom, I'm going to use the old olive ink, and I am going to stamp the holly berry leaves. Just make sure it's all inked up really nicely. And then I'm going to stamp in cherry cobbler the berries. And let's see, just like that. There we go. And all I have left, oops, I didn't stamp the greeting. Let's do the greeting while we've got the ink and everything out here. The greeting for the front of the card, I am using Season's Greetings. We still have to do some coloring on this one, but I'm going to take this and ink the stamp up in cherry cobbler. And this fits just on the label. See. So I'll set that aside. On the original one, I just took the 1 inch by 4 inch and stamped it, but then I thought I was going to like this size better afterwards, so we're making it a little differently than I made the original. So we'll get the inks out of the way, the stamps out of the way, and then the next thing I need to do on the inside is to do some coloring. And so I'm going to use my old olive, my light and dark old olive blends. I'm going to start with my light, and I am just going to just carefully color in my holly berry leaves using the light by stamping in the old olive. It has the darker ink in, but I can go back, excuse me, I can go back if I want and add some darker shadows, but because the ink from the ink pad is doing that for me, I am just going to leave it just like that. So I really only needed my light. Put those away. Okay, so all the stamping is done. So I'm going to put these two things over to the side so that we can start working on all of this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is do my scoring on the cherry cobbler cardstock. So as you know, I like to use my scoreboard. It just does such a nice job for me. And I'm going to be scoring, let me look at my notes. I'm going to be scoring at 1 1/4. So here's the 1 1/4. I'm going to be scoring at 5 1/2. And I'm going to be scoring at 9 1/4. There we go. That's all we need to do. Remember, you don't need to quickly write this down. I will be adding all the dimensions and all the scoring lines for you in the comments afterwards. So I'm going to start by folding this card in half. And I'm going to use my bone folder just to give it a really nice crease. Now, remember in this card, this side opened up and this side folded over and then opened up. So what we're going to do is, so this piece is going to fold inward, and this piece is going to fold, doing that wrong. This one's going to fold. Now, let me just get them all folded, and then I will, yes. So this is how it is going to be folded. So you have one layer here, one layer here, and then you open it up like this. So now we can start putting our different layers on. So on both sides of this piece, I'm going to be putting this smaller, the 1 inch by 5 1/4 inch pieces of, it looks like it's little berries. So one's going to go on the front. The one that's going to go on the front is going to be covered the most. Let's just get it so it's nice and even. And then that same size piece is going to go on the inside. It's another card that you can use up a lot of your tiny scraps of designer series paper so it doesn't go to waste. On the larger piece in the middle, this is where our inside greeting and stamped image are going to go. So here we go there. It's a quick and easy fold. And then on this piece here, we are going to have our piece of specialty designer's paper, the beautiful gold foil that we have on that. Isn't that pretty? So that is going to go on the inside and on the front. And we're going to need to change this. Been doing a lot of stamping lately. So I have been going through a lot. I've even been using this at school with my kids. So how many of you went out and did the Black Friday shopping? I did not. I went to visit a friend who was having a plaid Friday event at her studio. So I went to visit her, but I did not go shopping at all today because it's not necessarily my favorite thing to do with all the crowds. I don't need to do any of my shopping quite yet. I know what I'm going to be getting, and I'm going to focus on birthdays in December first before I focus on Christmas in December. So I'm going to put the designer series paper, as you can see, on both sides of my folded flap. So when this folds over like this, I still need to put paper on the inside flap and the outer flap. So this card, one of the things I really like about it is how the designer series paper works on it. And so now we can put our final piece, and the card will be almost together except for all of the stamped images and die cut images we're going to add. So as you can see, we've got the basic fold. You can see how it's a tri-fold. It's going to open up like that and close like that, and then we'll tie it with the ribbon. Okay, so now for this front piece here. What I am going to do is this in half, but I do want to show you how this label would be able to go right on the front of the card with this piece fitting right on it. So it does make a beautiful tag. We're just going to change it a little bit, and what I want to do is cut it in half right here. So I'm going to get my cutter out. Because it does take a little bit of finesse to cut it, and I want it to be as straight as possible. So I'm going to put those I'm going to bring my cutter down. I can line it up So I've got it right here on this line, and that is going to help me line it up. I'm going to carefully come down, and I'm going to have to do a little trimming, but that's okay. I wanted to make sure I didn't cut all the way through so that I could come back and do what I needed to do with it and add those little cuts. And here, what I wanted to be able to do was actually cut off this piece right here. Okay, so now we have our two tags, and what I'm going to be doing is holding them like this. And I'm going to actually put the bigger piece at the top because the N and L, the N and O, take up a little bit more space than the E and L. So they're going to be attached like this on the front of the card. So let's get some glue. I'm going to use the liquid glue on this. Just going to be putting some little tiny dots. This glue is almost out, but I didn't want to open up a new one because I was afraid I'd get too big of dots. So there we go with the N. This also allows me to have a little bit of movement. Let's turn it the right way. We'll have it towards the top. Then we'll add our O. There's our top piece. Now we'll work on the bottom. I just love how this die, there's so many things you could use this with. Besides your cards, making some home decor items would be beautiful with this set, and being able to spell out Noel. Okay, so we have that part done. Now I need to put some dots of glue on where the green berries are because we want to make those cherry. And I just need a little drop of glue. And now I can take out, I cut some extras in case I drop them or something. But what I want to do is use my, and I can just bring these right on top. anyone going into any craft fairs this weekend? I know we have craft fairs in our area, so I am going to be checking those out. I love going and seeing what other people create, and it's usually pretty impressive, especially people who work in the elements or using the different mediums than I use, where my crafts are primarily paper crafts. I love looking at crafts that other people have done that are not in the paper world, because it's pretty amazing what they're able to create with glass or wood. I love seeing all those things. Okay, and here's our last berry. Okay, so now we're ready to start putting the rest of this card together. So what I am going to do, I'm going to just need this piece right now. My Noel is going to go up on the top and bottom, and then my Season's Greeting is going to go right in the middle. So I don't need, I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal for my Noels. I'm going to give my Noels have it be a little off of the top and the bottom. Have them centered over the piece of paper. So that looks about the same. And then this piece is going to go right here in the middle. So the adhesive right on the very end so it doesn't go over. Just make sure of that. Yep, I'm good. So now we've got the card looking like that. So before I add my bling to the card, I'll just use this string that I untied the last one from. I'm just going to take, it comes in a package of gold and silver. So this is the gold piece, so it's in a double package. And you can find that on our online store. Just want to make sure I'm keeping the ribbon flat on both sides. And then I can come back over here and tie my bow. Which is definitely the hardest thing I do when I'm doing a live. So there we have the bow tied. And I'm going to have it go a little bit over the Season's Greetings just to hold that in place. And now I can put my bling on. So I'm using the neutral adhesive back sequins. I'm going to be using the gold. And on here you can see I put some on where the greetings are, some at the Noel too. So let me just grab my Take a Pick tool. And I've got one right here. So let's put that one right down here. We'll start with 2 on our label, top and bottom, and then we'll put one right here. One right here, and I need one more. Where shall I put it? So we got here, here. Maybe we'll put one right down here. And there we have it. That is tonight's Fun Fold Friday. So to get the best look of it, here is the card closed, And here is the card opened. And that is it for tonight. So thank you so much for joining me tonight for Fun Fold Friday. I hope you had a great a great Thanksgiving holiday, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back here Sunday night for the last edition of the Very Cute Simply Stamping Sunday. We'll be moving on next week to a new stamp set, and I'll be back Tuesday night for the last edition of Christmas Made Easy. And this week we're going to be doing gift tags, and I'm going to show you a whole mess of ways to make a bunch of different gift tags, from the super simple to the more detailed. So I hope you join me for all of those, and I'll be back next Friday night for Fun Fold Friday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.